Shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, or Krakadash, Bracket Yahweh, Bracket Shai, Bracket Yahweh, Bracket Shai. Double honor to the be unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to you, fellow laborers out there, the hopeful elect, and also Shalom to you, confusion and faith brothers. I'm just making a quick video going into the topic of hell. Lord's willing, it's edifying, but I was just dwelling on it recently, and a lot of our people are caught up in that snare, which derives from Christianity. That hell is you burning in another dimension, or something like another dimension where it's just all fire and there's a red being with a pitchfork, and that you're just burning forever for eternity. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. For you hopeful elect out there watching this video, that's not what hell is. And I'm going to explain what hell is through the scriptures. So without further ado, I want to go and I want to get Jonah. I want to get Jonah 2:2. Jonah 2:2 says, and I cried and said, Slakia, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. Now the reason Jonah is in this condition, which that's what hell is. Hell can be a condition, or hell can be the grave. But the reason why Jonah is in this condition right now is because he was set up to prophesy, and he was set up to prophesy by the Lord, and he was being stubborn about it. So the Lord, as judgment, he put him in the belly of a huge fish. And you can read about that in the book of Jonah, starting at chapter 1. But the Lord put him in a huge fish, and in that fish he was catching hell. And let me read it again. And it says, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. So this is a scripture proving that hell can be a condition of heavy affliction. That's why there's a saying, catching hell, especially amongst us in this truth. But let me get the word. The word there for hell is sha'al. And when you go into it, it means a grave or pit, underworld. But we know in this verse, when he says he's catching hell, that he's catching, he's in a very low condition. He's in a horrific condition. But I want to get another scripture where it actually uses the word hell in the sense of the ground. This is Amos 9:2, and it says, though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Now we go into it in that word hell, and the scripture is talking about, you got some people building underground bunkers and stuff because they're digging into hell, digging into the holes of the rocks in the ground, trying to escape from these nuclear missiles. The Lord's judgment, but it's not going to happen. But let's go into that word, and it's the same word as you see in Jonah 2:2. It's sha'al, sha'al. But in this sense, in this scripture, it's actually talking about the grave or the pit, the ground, essentially. But let me get another scripture, and with this other scripture, I'm gonna get two more. But with these other scriptures, it's going to prove that unless you actually go into words and the Spirit of the Lord is dealing with you, you're not going to understand the scriptures. And you got other camps out there that try to criticize GMS for not going into words. I mean, Salakia for going into words. And they say that's not what you're supposed to do, blah, 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 this and that. which we already know that's not true because I'm going to get another scripture. And it's going to prove that you need to go into words to understand the scriptures. You know, scriptures say rightly dividing the word. This is Psalm 6. It's like, yeah. This is Psalms 30:3. It says, O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive that I should not go down to the pit. And let's look up that word grave. It's the same word when you go into the word hell, you know, like I did in Jonah 2:2 and Amos 9:2. It's the same word there. It's sha'al or sha'awal, and it means the ground, you know, the grave, a pit. So this proves that you got to actually go into words to understand that hell is a condition, a horrific condition, a bad condition, a low state of being. And hell is also the ground. When the scriptures speak of hell, it will be either speaking of a condition that someone's in, or someone, or the ground, or death. And I want to get another scripture. And I'm gonna end it with this, you know, Lord willing. It's Genesis 37. Verse 35. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, and he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And when you read about it in this chapter, it's because Jacob thought his son Joseph was dead, but he wasn't actually dead. Joseph was still in slavery, but Jacob, Joseph was Jacob's favorite son. And, you know, of course, he loved all his other sons, but Jacob especially loved Joseph. But he thought Joseph died, but really he didn't. That's why it says, and all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. You know, and he will go down to the grave mourning, basically meaning he's he's going to be mourning until he's going to be mourning for a while. You know, he's going to be mourning for a long time. You know, meaning like I'm gonna mourn, you know, until I die. Essentially, some to the likes of that. But let me get into the grave, and now it's the same word, sha'al. We've already gone into it. A grave, the pit. So this is the same word for hell that's used in other scriptures. So this right here proves that hell is just the ground, the grave, or a pit. You know, they're all synonyms for the same word, the ground, essentially. You know, with these scriptures, it proves that hell is a condition, and hell is also the ground or the pit. And you gotta obviously go into words. And you gotta spiritually, use discernment to see which one is talking about. But with that, I hope you were edified. You know, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yal Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yal Shai, Bashim Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.